Hello, college football fans. My name is Matt Smith. SEC previews continue today with the Tennessee Volunteers. And if you are my age, you remember the 90s growing up when Tennessee was one of the superpowers in this sport, playing that huge game with Florida every year, Heisman contenders, national title, and they've just been pretty much irrelevant for the past 20 years. So another coaching change in Knoxville. Josh Heupel is now the boss. Comes over from UCF after a pretty good 3-year run. Stepped into a really good situation there, taking over for Scott Frost. Had an undefeated regular season in 2018. Did slip back a bit the past couple years. Can't clean much from 2020, of course. But a guy who's going to play some up-tempo offense, wants to get the ball downfield. Probably going to give up a lot of points this year. But I think the goal for Tennessee is just to be exciting, have the fans back in and invested and excited about what the future holds. If you lose games 52-35, that's all right. You know this roster is nowhere close to where it needs to be. But score points, be fun, be like Ole Miss last year, and know the wins can hopefully come a few years down the road for this program. Coordinator hires Tim Banks. He went, obviously Heupel's kind of the offensive guy, so that's his baby. Defense, he went up to Penn State, grabbed Tim Banks, who worked under James Franklin and Brent Pry up there. I expect a pretty aggressive approach, which is generally how you marry a defense with an up-tempo offense. Knowing that offense is probably going to be off the field quick, you don't want to be a bend but don't break defense who's going to give up 15-play drives. Offense goes out there, goes 3 and out in a minute and 10 seconds, and you're back on the field. So get on the field, make a play, get a turnover, or give up a long score and get the offense back on the field, which is the better side of the ball. So I'd imagine that'll be the approach for Tennessee, at least this year, with that defense. Quarterback battle, you got 4 guys competing for the job. 2 guys are in-house that were on the team last year. Brian Maurer, kind of a reckless player, fun to watch, but needs to play more controlled out there as a quarterback. And then Harrison Bailey was a top recruit a couple years back, has a couple starts here and there. Not a ton of production yet, but can't write him off completely either. And they went outside for 2 potential options as well. Hendon Hooker is coming down from Blacksburg at Virginia Tech, where he was a part-time starter the past couple years. Then maybe the favorite is Joe Milton from Michigan. He started first couple games last year, had a really good opener where they beat Minnesota in a primetime game, and then just kind of fizzled out the rest of the way. And he's chosen to move on from Ann Arbor. So Milton was not there in the spring. Still might be the favorite, but this one's really hard to handicap. We'll see how it shakes out leading into their September 2nd opener. A theme with Tennessee was the loss of players in the transfer portal. We talked in an earlier video about Kentucky, about how they hit the portal hard for additions. Well, Tennessee's got a ton of subtractions. On offense alone, their top 2 running backs are gone. Eric Gray's at Oklahoma. He took one of Tennessee's best offensive linemen, Wanya Morris, with him to Norman. The other running back, Ty Chandler, went across the Appalachians to North Carolina. He'll be a Tar Heel this year. So that offense, at least in the running game, is starting over. A couple of decent tackles with Cade Mays and Darnell Wright back, but the interior, losing Morris, losing a team leader like Trey Smith to the NFL, that's going to be tough for that offensive line to really gel this year. Receiving core, that's probably where this offense can make some hay. A couple of former USC transfer, Velus Jones, he's been with the program now for a year, so he'll be the top guy. And then a new transfer they got from Mississippi State, Javonte Payton. Some good options at receiving core. Again, I think that's where Heupel has shined, is the passing game being up-tempo. And a lot of decent options at quarterback. Who it's going to be, we don't know yet, but I think they'll have at least a decent guy under center. The passing game can probably carry the weight for this offense because, again, I have very, very deep concerns about this running game, given all they lost to the portal and to the professional ranks. Defensively, they looked okay, especially on the defensive line, but they had a big hit over the summer. Darrell Middleton, a veteran defensive end, he put his name in the portal, so he's not there. Their best player was probably Henry Toto, the linebacker. He's now at Alabama, a huge loss there. Secondary is decent. They got some guys that played a good bit of football there. Alante Taylor, Warren Burrell, the 2 corners. Pretty experienced secondary, but coverage and pass rush and stuff, they need to work together. And if they're not getting home, the secondary is going to struggle as well. So definitely some concerns about the defense. Again, that's why I throw out the Ole Miss 2020 comparison, where they're just going to give up a lot of points. But if this offense can move the ball, get in some shootouts, I think this could be a potentially entertaining product this year. Schedule-wise, not bad by Tennessee standards, knowing you have Florida, Georgia, and Alabama every year. 8 home games, so all 4 non-conference games are at home. A real fun Week 2 game against Pitt. Really don't see these teams. I don't even know if they've ever played Pitt in Tennessee. maybe have because of the Johnny Majors connection back in the day. But a unique matchup there in Knoxville in week 2, and a game probably Tennessee might need to win if they have any hopes of getting to a bowl. Rotating game is Ole Miss. Obviously, the big storyline there is Lane Kiffin coming back to Knoxville. It'll be his first game there as a head coach since he left Tennessee more than 10 years ago. He's been there a couple times as a coordinator with Alabama, but that'll be a huge storyline that week in mid-October is Ole Miss coming in with Kiffin back to Rocky Top. And late in the season, the Georgia game is in November now. I think it was scheduled to be in November last year in the original schedule. When they redid it because of COVID, it got bumped back up to its more traditional time frame in October. But the plan going forward is to move that game, kind of flip it for Georgia with Auburn. They're going to play Auburn in October. They're going to play Tennessee in November. So that game is now in mid-November. It'll be in Knoxville this year as part of a 3-game homestand for the Vols to end the season. So overall, the schedule is not too bad without a huge non-conference game like they've had in the past with the Oklahomas and the Oregons of the world. Pitt's a good team. That's going to be a tough game. And then no LSU in the crossover, no A&M in the crossover. So Ole Miss will be a tough game, but by Tennessee standards, knowing you get Alabama every year, it's a workable slate for Josh Heupel in year 1. Prediction-wise, I'm going 5-7. I do think they take a loss in that swing game against Pitt. I think Pitt's better at quarterback with Kenny Pickett, who's now a 5th-year guy. We don't know how the Tennessee situation is going to shake out. Will they have one guy starting by then? Will they be playing multiple guys by then? Regardless, I just feel more comfortable with where Pitt is as a program to come into Knoxville and win that game. So I have 5-7, 2-6. Tennessee gets both South Carolina and Vanderbilt at home. Those are games they should win. And if they can find a third win in the season, it's probably going to have to come on the road, maybe at Kentucky, maybe at Missouri. I don't think they're beating Ole Miss or Georgia at home. So a chance to get to 6-6, but if they don't beat Pitt in week 2, it is really going to be uphill sledding to get to a bowl. So again, I do think there'll be a more entertaining product. We'll see if they're blowout losses or if they can get some of those shootout losses on the books, which could bode well for the future. And again, make Tennessee into a program on the rise like Ole Miss, just kind of 1 year behind what Lane Kiffin's doing there in Oxford. So that's my Tennessee preview. Let me know your thoughts below in the comments. Reach out to me on Twitter, of course, at MattSmithCFB. Written preview is up at southernpigskin.com. Thank you all for watching so much, and I will talk to you all soon.